good, please. That's all right. It's over then.
So the big question: who's going to win it? The joint favourites are Brazil and Germany at the moment, with pretty good reason, you would say. Germany would be my pick.
Yeah, and you add the fact that they're probably more creative than ever to the fact that they're Germany, and Germany always go far and deep into tournaments. I'm with you. I wouldn't necessarily have them as my pick, but like you've got to say semi-finalists at least.
They almost feel like a club team in that they've Joachim Löw's been the manager effectively since 2006. They're so consistent, so systematic. Always, they never massively disappoint. They're a semi-final team.
You're saying they're very German.
Neuer, Kimmich, Hummels, Boateng, and Hector. But 4 of the back 5 play every week with each other for their domestic team. So that's such a strong base to work from. They're probably not going to concede many. And then when you've got that creativity going forward.
I agree that when you go into any major tournament, they're one of 2 or 3 favourites. But for some reason, I just don't think it's going to be their time. One of the issues I think they might have is that when you go deep into the tournament, there might just be another team, one specific one I have in mind, who just wants it a bit more. And that is the actual favourites, Brazil. They were favourites at the last World Cup, and we all know what happened. And it feels like they're so on a mission to prove that 7-1 was a one-off, and it's kind of mission redemption for the last 4 years.
They are such a different team from 4 years ago.
Yeah,
they were incredible in qualifying.
And the big issue that they've resolved is that Neymar's injuries meant that they've had to learn how to play without him. And they didn't have a plan B going into the last World Cup, and Neymar got injured, and they just fell apart. And Neymar's injury has kind of been a blessing in disguise for them for their long-term planning, because it now means that they've had 3-4 months preparing for what the team will play like without him, and they've done well. They've been more functional in his absence, but that's all you can ask for them. And they've got a really good manager. Tite, Brazil took, I think, 32 points out of 36 in qualifying under him, and the players love him. A first for Brazil, where in one of their games in qualifying, the crowd started chanting his name, chanting the manager's name, which just doesn't happen. I mean, I can't see it happening in England. You can't imagine England fans chanting Gareth Southgate's name, and because he's changed the mentality within the group. It's a much more relaxed atmosphere, and I think that's going to serve them well. And I can't see past them.
So France, obviously, they could probably field 2 teams, probably almost equally as good. But I think when you look at the depth of all the leading nations, I'd probably say France have probably got the greatest depth.
Yeah,
I don't know, would you agree?
With that. Even Griezmann is probably not a guaranteed. I mean, I think he'll start the first game, but if he's off form for that first game, Deschamps for the last Euro dropped him, and because they have the players to come through and take someone else's place if you're not performing, so that goes a long way.
And arguably, we're going to see a much better Paul Pogba this summer as well. Not only is he alongside N'Golo Kanté, he's not playing for Manchester United.
It's not just with France. It's not just the technical quality; it's the physical attributes of all the players in the midfield. I mean, Kanté, Pogba, Matuidi likely to be in there as well. I mean, all of them capable of running box to box. All of them technically efficient. They have everything. Everything is there. But it's like the issue that we've mentioned with when we talk about Belgium and having all these fantastic individuals. Are they a good cohesive unit yet?
Yeah.
Under Deschamps, and that's probably the question mark where you still look and you think they look like 11 individuals. They're not yet a team.
I still feel like France are just maybe 2 years away from being at their best, and they've got a lot of players who are young and just about to kind of hit their peak, or a couple of years away from that, and that might be what that might be their undoing when they come against a big team with a lot more experience, a lot more big game nows, and it just goes against them.
What about Spain?
Well, if the World Cup was happening tomorrow, I'd I'd go for Spain. Depending on who plays up front and whether Isco starts, which I think he probably will
You
now.
definitely will. Yeah.
It's hard to see past them. And the thing that I always think is a big X factor in these tournaments is how many of your big name players have won medals in big tournaments. And Spain's first 11 is just littered with winners. And I can see them doing it again.
Costa, probably the only out-and-out striker.
Yeah.
Could that be a win, particularly if there's an injury in the tournament, and then also you're faced with having essentially 6 midfielders.
But if there's ever a team who not having a top level forward doesn't really affect, it's Spain. You know,
Euro 2012, they like Cesc Fabregas was their centre forward. More or less. So
they almost take one just because that's the done thing in football. But otherwise, you know, they could just play an extra midfielder, dominate possession, move up as a block, and score. And
they're probably being mainly overlooked because of the last World Cup when they had a horrible group. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't good. They were bad that year, but they haven't really done a lot. They haven't done anything wrong since then. What a spine, though.
Yeah.
Best goalkeeper in the world? Probably.
Probably.
2 of the best centre-backs in the world.
Who've won everything.
Who've won everything. And Sergio Busquets. They're going to be horrible to beat. That's not even mentioning, Cesar Azpilicueta, who in any other nation would be in the team, but he will not start because of Spain.
Yeah.
That's his undoing. He's Spanish.
Yeah, I think people overlook Spain just because they've done it before, and just because Germany have won the last World Cup, they just forget how good Spain are.
Right, Argentina, finalists 4 years ago. What do we think?
There's just something so unconvincing about them this year, isn't it? They limped through qualifying. Basically, they got through on the last game with a Messi hat-trick. Shock.
Yeah.
But apart from that forward line, which is ridiculous, they just don't seem to have that foundation behind them to win
It's so
this
top
year.
heavy.
Yeah.
It's an embarrassment of riches up top, and then you look at the back four, and if Marcus Rojo is going to be a key part of your back four, then you're probably going to struggle.
And Otamendi is arguably the best defender, but still.
Outside bet, but it might be too much for them.
Yeah.
If Portugal win back-to-back Euros and World Cup, then football's broken.
But like having said that, Greece Euro 2004. It happens. So why not? They've got arguably the best player on the planet playing for them. I mean, I would be amazed if they did win it. But when you do have that one exceptional player who can do it when you most need them to, then they're in the mix at least, given a favourable draw.
And interestingly, we mentioned before about Brazil having practiced, played without Neymar, without the star player. Portugal won the Euros without Ronaldo. It came off injured.
Yeah.
They've done that. They can play without it.
Yeah.
So are they as relying on Ronaldo as we think they are? Maybe, perhaps not.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
But they are.
It's not going to happen. And lastly, I guess Belgium.
I think it's really intriguing with Martinez because you look at. I think he's quite suited to international football. He seems to be a friend of the players.
Yeah.
And you remember Van Gaal with Holland, over a short period with Holland, it worked really well. Not a particularly talented team. And I look at Martinez and I just wonder whether, over a very short period, it might just be a nice fit.
I think it's all about their own belief this year because they know themselves that they've underperformed before and haven't achieved what they want to. But they on paper they're a balanced team. They've got a good goalkeeper. They've got 2 of the best centre backs in the world. Moussa Dembele,
but Vertonghen
Kevin
won't
De
play
Bruyne.
there. Vertonghen will play wing back, which is bizarre.
It is
itself.
insane. Yeah.
The way I see Belgium is very much like England in 2006. So this is the golden generation's time. Hazard's 26, 27. So's De Bruyne.
And then one day you look at the watch and that
Vertonghen,
it's gone.
Yeah, exactly. So like 4 years' time, their best players are going to be pushing 30, and you wonder whether that is the time to win it. Okay, Lukaku's a bit younger. There's 1 or 2 others that are a little bit younger as well. Courtois maybe, less relevant for keepers, but their best players, I do think like it has to be now.